So we're joined back with Dave Hale and Roy here at the Sheppey Horticultural Society's Flower and Vegetable Show. We're out and about. Dave, how does this help the Society?
Well, as I've mentioned to you before, Daniel, on various occasions, we do have two sites, one at Medway Road and one at Richmond Street Nursery Close. So obviously those people necessarily who have an allotment at one site or those at the other site wouldn't necessarily meet each other. This is an ideal opportunity for those people who have allotments, who have gardens, who are serious gardeners or even part-time gardeners, to come together actually as a society, and I think that's very important. It's written within our rules that we have to have a show every year, and as you can see, judging by the noise that's going on in the hall now, people are talking. You'll notice, for instance, you can't necessarily see the front door at this moment, but people come in, that little card, it's got a red or it's got a yellow or it's got a blue, they are very, very happy. But as a society, it's important that we gel together, because we run across two sites.
It seems like everybody's meeting and greeting, talking about what's happened in the show, talking about their produce. It does seem a really sort of exciting atmosphere. People are getting a chance to talk about what they've done all year.
That's absolutely right. As Carol has already said, the people will have started quite early looking at the produce. What can we actually put into a show? What isn't quite standard? But Roy, as our independent judge, and I do stress the independence of the judging, will tell you that, in effect, if it's not good enough produce if it's not good enough for a first prize, then obviously it won't be awarded the first prize. So there's also that as well, to get to making your produce or getting your produce up to that first prize level. I think you would agree with that, though.
Yes, I get a lot of people who actually come up to me and say, why didn't I get this prize, or why doesn't I get that? Well, some, the NCS, the NDS and the National Vegetable Society have all set rules, and you judge by their rules, not by what you think is best. So if something doesn't come up to their standard, they don't get a prize.
It must be a difficult thing to do, because you must know you like certain things, but you've got to follow those rules to make it work right.
Yeah, I've got to be completely independent. I mean, to face it, I've been doing this that many years that I can look at a vegetable or a tray and something like that and know instantly who it is, even though I can't see a name, because there's no names displayed. I don't know, but really I do know, because I've been doing it so many years, I can pick them out. But I have to be independent and not say, well, I know that, but I mustn't go on that at all. I must actually look at the vegetable and say, this is the best, this is second, and this is third.
What we do, we take a break. We're at the Sheppey Horticultural Society's Flower and Vegetable Show in Sheerness at the De Lacy Hall. Dave, does the auction help to raise money for the Society?
Precisely that. It does actually go towards the Society. Inevitably, with a hall like this, there are expenses to pay for, materials that we will have bought, refreshments which will become available. So all of those kinds of things contribute towards the Society's, I hesitate to use the word coffers, but towards the Society's accounts, in effect. So yes, it is a very useful thing for the Society to actually have. Notwithstanding, as I said, we go back to what we were saying, we have to hold a show. It's written within our rules. So the fact that if we make a small profit, then that's very handy.
And I would know about those rules because I wrote them.
I did say, Roy,
many years ago.
Roy has a great deal more experience than I have.
The show has been around a great deal. We've been to the Victoria Club, to the Masonic Club, to the Wheatsheaf Hall, to the Queenborough Hall, the Borough Hall, and lastly we've been to the Dockyard Hall, which was the one up the halfway along Queenborough Road.
So over the years you've moved about a fair bit.
We've moved about a bit, yes.
I think this is our 47th. I think it's actually on our show schedule. It's actually our 47th. 47th. So we're all looking very much forward for the half century, which is only 3 years away. But if it's as successful and we can continue with this kind of success, which I'm sure you will have seen from the amount that's actually going on behind you, then I think it augurs well for the future for the society, not least for allotmenteering as well. I think you would agree with that, which is becoming a very, very popular pastime. Carol may have mentioned the business of it's not just individuals actually doing it, it's families as well. And as you can see, sometimes I say it when I'm on your Monday night show, that we welcome families because they are the future. And it's very nice that we will have a novice section and get people actually taking part in that. We have a youngsters section here as well. Very, very important for the future, for the society and for everybody.
I'd imagine it's quite a nice thing actually after working on allotments all year to show some of the stuff you've done, also meet some of the other people and see what they've been doing. Absolutely.
It was very strange actually because as you know, it rained quite heavily yesterday and I hadn't dug any potatoes up. So there's that constant element of surprise. What exactly is going to come out of the ground and is it actually fit for putting into the show? It's a very nice surprise when you say, yes, I have 5 potatoes which are roughly the same in shape, size and colour, that maybe they will go into the show, but there are inevitably times when you think there's a hole in that and I can't show it because, as Roy will actually say, he has to be very, very punctilious in how it's actually judged. And I know for a fact because that he will pick up lots and lots of stuff. It's not perfunctory the way Roy judges, it is hands-on, and I think that's very important as well because there's a standard to be met, as Roy again has pointed out.
Oh yes, you can very often get a plate of 5 potatoes and you can dig up 4 perfect ones, and then to dig the other 1 potato you'd probably go and dig half a row up to get one that looks the same as the 4 you've just dug up. And oh dear.
So there's an element of pot luck in it as well. But that goes for no matter how experienced a gardener you are. It will happen. There's always a case of 12 runner beans. Right, I've got 11 that look exactly the same, but you try finding that 12th one. That's what the competition is actually about. You could actually sort of lower the standard by saying, all right, we'll only have 8 beans, which is a heck of a sight easier. 12 beans are much more difficult. Now, I know that sounds trite to say beans and potatoes and what have you, but if you're trying to get them into, organise them into a show so that they will look uniform, that Roy will be impressed by, hopefully, by what he's actually got in front of him. But I do assure you, Roy will pick this kind of thing up and look on the undersides of things. And far too experienced.
If I find anything, I will turn it over and show that. Mainly to show people why I've done it, so that they can say, instead of saying, well, why didn't I get that? That potato is there to show them why they didn't get it.
So there are also notes as well. For instance, it's not, it doesn't relate to the particular class, or people have got the wrong, the wrong standard. So we have to be very careful where that's concerned as well. And that's all part and parcel of the judging side of it, and getting your produce to be judged, in effect.
And I suppose that's how you gain experience. Each year as a member, you learn what the judges are looking for.
Yes, absolutely right.
Yes, I've got all the books down there, the rules of all the societies, so that if anybody asks, I can show them exactly what they're supposed to do, what points are for what, and how, why, and when. That sort of thing.
I think the thing I'd find difficult is I sometimes grow little bits, not as much as probably some of you do, but when you grow it yourself, you're bound to like it, and to, I suppose, to have someone criticise it or mark it must be quite difficult, and also, I suppose, to sort of find the best bits in your own produce must be hard, because to you everything is good when you've grown it.
Gardening is a very subjective subject, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is particular to you. I like that particular flower, I want to grow that. We've mentioned this before in the programme. These are the kinds of things that I grow, other people grow. Getting towards that expertise on growing something else, or looking elsewhere, or looking towards that perfection, I think is very important. That's part and parcel of gardening as well. There's also a cross-fertilisation, I use that word advisedly. There's this cross-fertilisation where people will say, you should have done this, or should have done that, or yes, you've got a problem with a particular plant. That's another reason for people being here at the show, because we've had people come into the show and saying, I've got grey mould on something, or I've got a particular insect, what is it? There's always somebody here who has perhaps a little bit more knowledge than yourself. And I think that's very important where gardening is actually concerned.
We're talking to Dave Hale and Roy, and we're at the Sheppey Horticultural Society's Flower and Vegetable Show. We're out and about here at the Monday Night Community Show. Well, we're now joined with Hilda, where we're out and about the Sheppey Horticultural Society's Flower and Vegetable Show. I understand you're one of the newer members of the society.
Yes, I joined this year. A friend made me a member just as a present and just to give each other a bit of competition in a fun way, so to speak.
And are you enjoying it?
Yes. I found there's a lot of time you need for preparing, but once I got a schedule 10 days ago, I just literally looked what I had in the garden, and that is what I've entered today. And it has been really brilliant. Yeah.
I understand you've done quite well today, actually, you were telling me.
I have. Very proud. Yes.
How did you do?
First on a foliage plant, second on my abutilon, sunflower third, summer sunshine, the flower arrangement I got first, novice I put onions in, which I got second for, embroidery second, and treasure trove third, just to name a few. So for a first timer, I think it's brilliant. I'm really, really pleased. Yes.
And I bet it's nice to see some of your stuff on the show after your first year as well.
Yes, because when I came here 2 years ago, one of the members who is very well known to the society, I spoke to him and he said, if you've got some bits and pieces in your garden you could enter, you really should do. And it really stemmed from there. So, and actually now see it on the table and competing, I think it's very nice. Yeah.
Thank you very much for speaking to us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We're out and about here at the Sheppey Horticultural Society's Flower and Vegetable Show. So we're out and about here at the Monday Night Community Show. We're down at the Sheppey Horticultural Society's Flower and Vegetable Show. Dave, if our listeners would like to find out more or get in contact with you, how can they do that?
I think the best thing actually is to contact our secretary, who's Sue Underhill. And Sue is on 01795, if I can give you the telephone number, 01795 661 547. We're always looking for many, many more members. As I say, we have something like 200 plus members at the particular moment. We would very much like to get it up to hundreds more, simply because allotmenteering and gardening is such a pleasure. We would very much like to see more members coming through, family members as well, and I think that's very important indeed. So a show like this will help considerably. Having said that, we've got lots and lots of rules and we manage it properly and it's all well done and well put together. It is also fun. It's not exactly the Royal Horticultural Society, but it's very important to the society as a whole that they show their produce off, that there is a little bit of competitiveness. I don't think anybody minds the competitiveness at all. But at the same time, it does show off what we can actually do. We're a friendly society. We like to stay very friendly. We need, every society would like more members. We would like lots more members because, as I've said, although we have a waiting list at Richmond Street, we still have space available at Medway Road, and we would very much like to see lots and lots of more people coming across and taking up an allotment, gardening. The other thing is, for a small amount of money, for £1.50, you can actually be a member of the society without actually owning or renting an allotment. So if you're putting produce, or if you're taking produce out of your garden, as you will see by the flowers there, for instance, they don't necessarily come off an allotment, they will come from a person's garden. But as a member of the society, you are perfectly able, and it's perfectly permissible to put it into our show, which rounds the show out, so that it's not just vegetables, it's flowers, there are other things as well that actually people do.
Dave, I'd like to thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come down to your show. Over the years I've been doing this like you've often mentioned. It's been really nice to actually see it and see what you do at the show.
That's lovely to have you here. As I say, it's nice to get out away from that studio in Minster, Windy Minster I think we should call it. We've had our share of raindrops up there, Daniel, haven't we? So the sun is shining. Please have a look around and give us your last thoughts and we'll be very grateful.
And also, Roy, thank you very much for talking to me as well.
Thank you. I'm pleased.
That's us out and about here at the Sheppey Horticultural Society's Flower and Vegetable Show.